Welcome to The Next Chapter, a show about how to move your life forward and what comes next. I'm your host, Carey Peña, co-founder of the Center for Positive Media. Hi, everyone. I'm Carey Peña, and this is the Next Chapter podcast. With me here in studio in our downtown Phoenix studios today, my girl, Suzanne Bissett.
Good morning. This is so fun to sit down, and usually we're talking and chit-chatting over lunch or dinner, and it's amazing to be here in your studio and be right beside you, and I'm excited.
You know what? I'm excited to have this conversation as well. And just to share with all of the viewers and listeners, Susan and I have been friends for 20 years.
Yes.
We met in the 3TV newsroom and we became fast friends.
Well, the truth of the matter is we became fast friends, you're right. But the way that we met, I was up in Flagstaff at the bureau up there. You were a reporter in Phoenix, and it was snowing up north. And if I recall, I was headed on home for vacation back east. And I got a call from you because we didn't text back then. It didn't exist. And I wasn't able to get it. Hey, Suzanne, it's Carey. They sent me up here and I have nothing to wear. Can I borrow your things? And I remember I'd never even met you really in person before. And I called you back. Sure, Carey, no problem. Like, I was so excited you're going to be borrowing my things and I wanted to help you. And I remember seeing it air later, and there you were, like in my
your face. Yeah, when I say I need to borrow a few things, I mean everything you have is
head to toe,
and then from there on out.
Yep, we haven't been separate since. Yes.
So I want to talk first. I mean, this podcast is obviously called The Next Chapter, and I love to interview people about what they do when they've gone through something hard, or maybe they're pushing themselves into the next part of their life, which is definitely true for you right now. You left your successful career hosting television shows, and it was challenging. And I want you to talk about what that feels like to make that leap and then start something all new.
And I'm in the midst of it. So I think, every day it can be challenging. And what I keep on telling myself is brick by brick. And, it kind of started back in 2020 with the pandemic. As you know, the day everything closed down was the day you were with me holding my hand, and my radiologist had called me and said, you have breast cancer.
Yeah.
We're spotting so many tumors. We got to rush you in. And so that really that changed my perception of life.
Yeah.
And I had gone to a therapist because all of a sudden my family friend, and it was, it was devastating news. I had forgotten I had even gotten a mammogram. There was no indication that I had breast cancer at all. And so it was so shocking.
Yeah.
And my therapist said, you know what? When you get a diagnosis like that, we all know we're not going to live forever. But for the first time in your life, you feel that pendulum.
Yeah.
We know we have it, but when you're struck with such devastating news, whether for yourself or a loved one, that you realize that the end could be near, you start feeling it.
Yes.
And that really is what started changing my perception. We battled it. I'm healthy. I'm happy. But through that, it was about, where are you going to spend your time? Where are you going to spend your energy, your endurance? And I think anyone knows, going through a really tough illness, you take your energy and endurance for granted.
And you are such a strong person, but that diagnosis, and I know you won't mind my saying, I mean, it really tested you. You were terrified at points, obviously, rightfully so. I think psychologically, what I observed is that part of it was really hard for you because of how strong you are. And it was like allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to be scared, and then feeling the freedom when you knew, okay, I am going to be okay.
Yes. I mean, it was a couple years. I don't know if you remember this. We were in Las Vegas seeing our friend Olivia.
Yeah.
And we ended up just talking about our greatest fears.
Yeah.
And my greatest fear, I told you, was leaving my kids.
Yeah.
Leaving my 2 girls at an early age. And I remember I asked you guys, just in case that ever happened, step in. And I know you as my best friend and more than a sister to me, that you would. And then fast forward, and I'm in that position that I never wanted to be in. Mm-hmm. No one ever wants to be in. And so it really was coming out of that and realizing, so many people say that, and of course, we all want to be with our kids when they're younger. That's of course. But as they get older, I noticed they needed me more psychologically, emotionally. And that's when I realized the value of my time, where I was going to spend my time, and the energy it took me to be in that presence that I decided after, and the station, it was wonderful. But I was missing out, I think, emotionally a lot with my girls and what was going on. They were one was in high school, sophomore in high school. The other one was graduating 8th grade. And that's when I realized, you know what? I thought I was present, but I can't be when a lot of this is going on and I need to focus.
And you take motherhood very seriously. I mean, I know moms and dads who watch it. Everyone loves their kids.
Yes, we all do in what way? Our own capacity.
Yes, but you are a very present mother. And
Thank you.
That is something that has always been very important to you. And I think what you're sharing here is that it became challenging to both have this career where you have to be on set and you have to be in hair and makeup, whatever that looks like. And then also at the very same time, you wanted to be picking up the kids. You wanted to be driving
at school.
Yeah, going to the soccer games and doing all the things. And so time is something you really started to look at. And you had to kind of set ego aside because being on TV is very alluring. You're used to, being the star all the time. Was that hard at all?
It was hard, but what I loved about being on TV is it was so interesting. I loved that my part of my career, not only the people. I mean, gosh, when I look at my career at Channel 3, I met my husband because of Channel 3. I met I've met other wonderful besties, other people that I just get so inspired by. So that station has been so great to me. But what I realized is, and Oprah always has her aha moments. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm not that, as you know, elegant. And I have a moment. And it was, and I think in our late 40s, at least in my late 40s, and we talked about it a lot, what's next? Because I think for the first time, you start to see your kids getting older, less dependent, but you need to be there emotionally for them. But, they start getting their driver's license. You're not doing all the carpools. So that really put the wheels in motion. And it's been hard. It's hard to walk away, I think, from a successful career because people automatically assume they didn't want to renew me. Or we had a big, I hated my co-host, which, as you know, is one of my best friends.
Daryl's amazing.
So I had everything going for me, but I always feel like your exit has to be as important as your entrance.
Yes.
And I knew I had these feelings, and I had that moment in a pawn shop that I was like, okay, I feel it. Me, I'm always talking about, and our friend Laura Day talks about your intuition. And I've been really realizing in those moments in life, that's your gut, that's your intuition saying, listen to it.
Well, and here's the thing I love and that I'm very proud of you, that it's not easy to walk away from something that you could have just cruised, been on cruise control. But sometimes when we find ourselves on cruise control is precisely when we need to shift gears, precisely because there's so much more to learn, right? And so you're stepping into now this whole new realm because you're excellent at TV, but I will say you're not the most tech savvy person I've ever encountered in my life. Sorry.
Not at all. You speak the truth.
But you're willing to learn. So you're now taking your beautiful review segment, which you had on TV, Sue's Reviews, and you're taking that to Instagram and you're learning these different like it to know it platforms.
Yes.
So tell people about that.
It was really daunting because I think when, Sue's Reviews, I based it at the station on all these products that they send you, free products. And I thought, you know what, we're getting a lot of them. Let's try this. And then I realized as a shopper myself on Instagram, I'm scrolling through things and I was buying a lot. I mean, most of my shopping's done online. And products were coming to my door. They weren't working. Then I would see one. I remember I was this tanning gel I was going to buy. And I was like, oh. And I knew it was sponsored. It says sponsored. But I thought, she looks legit. She's in her bathroom and she's looking fab. And then I screenshotted it. 4 stripes below, I see the same product, same script. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this isn't authentic. How can I start something authentic? So that's really how I wanted to transfer my idea from the station into a social media platform, giving people products that I love. No negativity, because there's enough negativity. And that's one thing too you have to think about is because people thought, oh, you're going to tell us the products too that don't work. And I thought, well, I don't like to be negative. And now I'm my own brand. Mm-hmm. I don't have the station or a company or, their own logo to be behind and uphold their beliefs. it's my own beliefs. It's my own self. And I don't want my brand to be negative.
Right.
So I started this, and it was hard because everybody talks about a business plan. You got to have a business plan. I didn't learn how to do a business plan. And you remember, I went to you, we had a lot of conversations, and you kept on talking about the proof of concept. POC, Sis, you need a POC, which I will admit, and I think I'll need you to explain it still after this interview. I will admit I did drop the acronym POC in several conversations when people were asking me about my business and what I was doing. And I was, at that moment stuck in a hole. I'm like, well, I'm still developing my POC. And I feel, but I didn't learn that. So how do I need it? Why I need a POC to do an Instagram account? Like, right. I think for a lot of people, and I found myself during interviews when I was still working at 3, and they did have experts, I'd be asking all those questions after the interview. They wanted to talk about A, that's great, we'll do that. But my B is after. And so I kept on asking, how do you do that? Like a business plan, what's on the first line? Like, what do I write? My name? I don't know.
We have some work to do after this show.
Seriously, and you kept on being like, Suze, what's your POC? I'm like, proof of concept. Well, here's my proof. I'm alive, and my content and concept. You know my concept, Carey. So it's just so I think people out there, it got really daunting. And I will say, when I left, I went through, I think, kind of like depression's too big of a word. But I was really stumped. Because here, when you're surrounded by creative people at work, and especially what we do, you have that creativity. And when you love those people you work with, it makes it even more special.
Yes.
So all of a sudden now, I'm home.
Yeah.
And it's September. And my kids are at school. My husband's at work. And it was silent. That was something I wasn't quite expecting for a transition. Kind of feeling lonely.
Yeah.
And then I felt like all these ideas that I had when I thrived with others, as soon as I walked out of the station door, I felt like they all flew away. I could not be creative. I mean, you would call me and I could give you 50 million ideas on how you should approach a project or some tips. When it came to my own brand, my own self, it was, you and I talked about it. It was paralysis by analysis.
Yes. But here's what you did that's right. Well, you did a lot of things that were right, that I'm very proud of you. But because I've studied so many business leaders and people that I thought have done really great things in the industry, people, even in the actresses who we love, like Jessica Alba, who went from, being an actress
with Goop.
And so I look at how they transitioned their lives in many ways. Even Jennifer Aniston continuing to evolve.
She has the Lola shampoo.
And different people who are, even non-famous people. But I like to see the similarity that I've come away with is that you have to start, right? So you have to start. So it's a little scary because you do want everything to be perfect. Well, it's not going to be perfect because you're starting something new. Your segments look beautiful. You have a great producer, same producer I have, Christina, who's awesome. Shout out to Christina.
I found her first.
Yeah, you've did. Yes, that's true.
I put dibs on her.
I didn't have
a
comeback.
Yeah.
Yes, didn't have a comeback to that one. But you're taking a risk because you're just putting it out there, and you're great in this space because you're really not trying to be an influencer. In fact, you and I have talked about how we don't love that word.
I don't,
you're not trying to be like
a
TikToker. You're really trying to put out legitimate content that potentially you could take to a Today Show or The View. I mean, I want to throw that out there because I think you need to make those. I think you need to make those wishes known. And we talk about Laura Day, our friend, who's like, let's try to manifest these things.
Yes.
But you're building it. You're building the content
brick
online,
by
brick by brick. It's very authentic. And the thing that's cool about you doing these reviews is you do not like to waste money.
No, and that's what it really frustrated me when I would order these products. And half the time, I'm going to be honest, it's a girl, an American girl. Heck, I'll probably buy more products if you're, European, because they always have like the good secrets with the face care and face creams. But they look legit. And then the product would come, and I got 2 different products, totally different in use. And the instructions were in Chinese. And then to return the product, it cost me more for shipping than it would for the product. And I thought, you know what? And then what am I going to put on my face? These chemicals or on my body or inhalant that I don't even know what they are, let alone I can't even decipher the writing. So and so many friends, I think you get it too, being in the TV world and interviewing people, and you get to know the trends. They ask you for advice. And one of the things I find joy in is helping people. Mm-hmm. You do it through these and telling their stories. I like to find them good skincare.
And so much more. Things that are household
lifestyle
items
and easy ways to elevate your life. It brings me joy. I like helping people find easy ways that make something mundane fun or something small even prettier. And I would never recommend crap to my friends.
Yeah.
I would never do that. So that's really where I'm coming from, is none of it's sponsored. None of it's paid. My photographer was laughing because half my stuff is on, subscription. So I was pulling out all these products and he's like, wow, you really do use them? And I go, yeah.
Well, you're really about the concept of an elevated life, but that doesn't mean that you have to be rich to have an elevated life or elevated lifestyle. It means, what kind of home do you want? Do you want to do scent design? Can you, make some floral arrangements, which I've been learning to make all the floral arrangements.
Yes. For women and men, I think, and I want to be honest, like transitioning, that was really hard. Like I gave myself 2 weeks. And I thought to myself, in 2 weeks, I'll be full of ideas. As you know, no ideas. I started doing my logo, because you're going to want to do a logo. There's some free online programs. I started doing that. Do you know making a logo is one of the hardest things you can do?
Yes, I do. In fact, I do know that. That's why I have graphic designers.
Nobody tells you this. It's like childbirth. Nobody tells you these things. And so luckily, I was at lunch with my good friend Stephanie Char, and I was just, I respect her opinion about things and about business. And I was just telling her all the problems. Like I tried to make a video for Like It to Know, and it was awful. I wasn't proud to put that out so, publicly, and let alone not represent my brand. So like any good friend, her first comment was, I'll have Gary help you.
Yeah. Who's her husband?
Yeah.
Who's excellent.
Who is like the brainchild between like so many iconic slogans here in Arizona and nationally. And of course, before I knew it, I was emailing him, hey, Gare, it's Suze. Stephanie said I could reach out to you. And he was amazing. And, he offered his help.
Praying hands emojis.
Totally, like kiss, kiss, kiss. And he helped me develop my logo and talked me through it. And that was so, and, of course, you'll be surprised about the community that comes around you that want to help.
Most people are very willing to help, especially if they feel that you have a good idea, or they can somehow lend some information to you. I found that as I started Inspired Media 360 and continued to build in the content creation space. Now we're making films. I was just with a film crew, an international film crew last night, and those guys were so interested in our work in the documentary space and giving me tons of tips about new equipment, which I say that out loud, and now my photographer is going to be like, when are we getting more equipment?
We'll manifest that one for you.
We'll manifest that for you, Nick. But it is really true that people are willing to help.
And take the help.
Yes.
I think coming from a journalism, broadcasting background, I never wanted to take favors, because we're trained, payola. Like to me, there was a fine line, and I never wanted to take freebies or take favors in case it wasn't worth it to me. No favor is worth burning my career and my integrity for.
Yes, and I think also you're very conscientious, as am I, about the use of other people's time.
Yes.
I started to have to be careful about that as I grew in my success, which I'm very blessed in to have built this production company that is successful. But I had to start being a little bit more cautious when people would call and say, can I pick your brain? Because I would be spending 3-4 hours of someone picking my brain. So I had to at least regulate my time, but I still like to give it away and talk with people and help where I can. So as you go forward, what do you think is the sort of takeaway that you would leave the audience with? Because this is still evolving for you.
Yes.
And there's a lot of ideas out there that we've talked about for you. It's not just this one lane, too. You're building your proof of concept with Suze Reviews. And
that's a whole nother episode. And you know what, though? I gotta say, like, you should... I can't be the only one out there that doesn't understand a POC. To me, it's like Bitcoin. It really is like, what is Bitcoin? And it's like, and then you do social media.
Childbirth versus graphic design.
It's like the algorithm.
Bitcoin doesn't.
But it's scary because
I've lost control of this interview, but
But what I'm saying is when you start a new business and you start something like this, you're going to come up with these things and you're going to be confronted with them, like the algorithm. I'm learning about it. It's not easy. It's intangible. So that also, be prepared for that in your journey to come up with those roadblocks that really, I don't even know if Mark knows about the algorithm and he developed it.
But you know what I mean? Always to learn.
Yes. And so the one thing I would leave people with, find someone who is knowledgeable about the arena you want to enter.
Yeah.
I went to Christina, and she was knowledgeable about it. And you will save yourself.
My producer, Christina.
Who I met first.
Yes.
But she saved me. You know what? I tried doing it myself. Something that would take her probably, a half hour, because now you're talking link trees and linking things and like it to know. It's all this stuff that I don't know. And so she does that and helps me. And for me, that was wise in budgeting that for my business plan.
Yep.
Because it saves me the frustration and it then allows my creativity to flow. So don't be afraid to ask for help, for a favor, pay back, babysit their kids if they have. You can work it out amongst your friends, but you'll find people want to help, and it's okay to ask for people's advice.
I'm excited to see all that comes next. I think there could be some media consultancy work here in the future.
We're in the midst of that.
And
doors open.
The door's open.
But you've got to step outside.
Do you feel pretty good about where you're at?
I am now. I wasn't always confident. And still, it's, again, brick by brick, and I think I'm doing more herringbone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like an intricate pattern. So it's going to be...
Thus the jacket that you're wearing today. For those who are listening and not watching, she's wearing a herringbone pattern.
But give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Ask for advice and take constructive criticism. You can't, know that you're going to make mistakes and be okay with it. And doors are going to open. You just have to put yourself in front of the right door.
Sometimes it's being imperfectly perfect.
Exactly.
Put my kids have convinced me of that. They were like, Mom, stop with the filters. Just stop. So because they shamed me so badly, I did. But it is actually...
Were you doing, Facetune. You got a little crazy with the Facetune when
I know,
it first.
I stopped because the kids shamed me.
Yeah. It's...
The wax figure look is never a good thing.
It's never...
So I agree. I'm saying this here on camera right now. So I love you.
I can get her to admit to a lot.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And where can people follow along?
They can follow me on Facebook, of course, but Instagram is the main platform that we're working on right now, and it's at the Suzanne Bissett.
It's the Suzanne Bissett.
Yes, the Suzanne Bissett.
I'm repeating it to make sure Christina is verifying that you're saying the right address.
And I'm putting the at in front of it because my mom, it would be one that'd be like, you didn't tell people there was an at in front of it. They're probably trying to find you. So, and
hi, Marks.
I know, yeah. And you wonder why I'm not tech savvy. But,
well, I love you, and I know it's going to be a huge hit.
Thank you. And thank you for your support.
Cost me money because every time you come in my feed, I feel like as your friend, I have to click and buy stuff.
But don't you thank me later? Because they're great products.
I love all the products. The only one I can't get down with is the thing that you use to make the bed. It seems like a lot of work. But we could leave that for another.
Hoist and tuck. Girl, it's a 2-arm method. We'll get her there, people, I promise.
Thanks to all of you for listening and watching. Our producer, Christina, is rolling, laughing in the background. And maybe we need to start our own talk show, perhaps. The yin and the yang that we are, right?
I love it. Yes, there's no people more different.
All we need is a POC.
More simpatico.
To see. This is a POC.
Is that the right word, Christina?
Yes. Okay. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Carey Peña, and this is the Next Chapter Podcast. Take care.